Carl and Liam here from Games, Brains and a Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for sure. And it is, of course, getting goosebumps as we follow up the previous episode, Monster Blood, with the sequel, not two-parter. This is called More Monster Blood. The reason why this is separate, where we normally do two-parters together, this is not a two-parter. This is a sequel episode, because it is not an adaptation of a book. Instead, it's just a continuation of the first Monster Blood. If you remember, the last one ended on a sort of cliffhanger edge style thing. This one, rather than doing a whole Monster Blood Part 2, just went, no, separate episode, call it More Monster Blood.
And it's not even based on one of the books, even though there is, I think you said before, 4 of them.
Yep.
That's a really strange decision. They must have thought they had something really hot with that first one. And then
This is really weird, right? So for starters, it's directed by the same guy, Timothy Bond, but it's written by different people. Rick Drew, who wrote the original Monster Blood screenplay, is not involved here. Instead, we now have Billy Brown and Dan Angel, who have both written the other episodes. But already I'm like, why would you not have the same writer?
Also, even though there are episodes that have sequels, like the Night of the Living Dummy episodes and whatnot, I don't think there's any other point in Goosebumps, the TV show, where it has one episode followed by like its sequel, like straight after.
True.
Yeah, I don't know if that happened before. So I wonder if like this was designed to be just like a two-parter somehow, but then it just decided just to cut into 2 episodes to like fill out the like quota of episodes I needed to make, maybe.
Well, when you watch it, I get a little bit more because there are some stylistic changes to the Monster Blood itself here, in particular how it behaves. And other elements too, that clearly they were like, let's change this writing style. And I guess maybe if it had been a two-parter and it just could, like it would maybe not, but then it is still a continuation of the story in the first one.
Yeah, it's literally straight after, isn't it? So
yeah.
I think doesn't the first part, it ends with the Monster Blood is in like the suitcase and he's traveling back to go back to where his parents are, right? Yeah.
We literally pick it up. We pick it up directly afterwards. Same event, same thing. I don't get that, but we'll kind of explain, hopefully, as we go on, particularly the behavior of the Monster Blood.
Yeah.
We begin seeing a very real plane flying through a stormy sky. Have you ever seen an airplane? And you know the outside shots of the plane flying? You know how real that looks? This is the same thing.
Got some stock footage going on here.
Tell me about it. Evan, Kyle Bean reprising his role, is on board, and of course those people we saw at the end of the last episode are here. One of the kids is the nerdy looking kid called Curtis, played by Mark Bench. I will get on about his fucking nerdiness in this episode, this little nerd. And he asks Evan if the story about Monster Blood is true. Evan insists it is true, but a boy who they know in the opposite seat named Conan, played by Charles Boyland, overhears and gets up to mock them. We see a girl called Julia, played by Ashley Dawn Brown, telling him to stay out of it. So here's our little selection of characters. All these kids traveling alone on a plane.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a couple of planes myself and I've never seen like kids like flying from destinations by themselves. It must happen. And especially, I guess, because it's a domestic flight, they're like going from one state to another. It's probably more common, but it seems weird to me, man. It just seems weird, like kids that age getting on like a plane completely by themselves. Yeah, like bad parenting, man.
I could live with Conan. I could live with Evan. I could live with Julia, because they all seem roughly around the age of maybe 13, 14. I realize that Curtis is probably the same age, but he's such a fucking wet blanket, such a fucking nerd, that I'm like, this kid shouldn't be allowed out of the house, let alone a plane on his own.
Yeah, I don't know if trust them to take care of themselves in that regard, like to go through the whole security process and everything. It's quite a lot for a kid that age to go through, really.
Absolutely. Anyway, Conan, he's a bully because, we got that character, and continues to push about the Monster Blood. Julia, she jumps in and wants to know more, but of course, when Evan explains, doesn't believe it. Who the fuck would? There are far-fetched stories, and then they're just idiot stories.
I just want to know what this Monster Blood stuff is.
Monster Blood? What's that?
This guy's been telling me about this Monster Blood stuff that almost totally destroyed a whole neighborhood.
Yeah? Right.
You don't have to believe me, but it's true. His name's Evan. This is Julia. And the Neanderthal is Conan.
Yeah, that sounds just so ridiculous. They should write a children's storybook about it.
Conan bullies Curtis before insisting that Evan tells him about Monster Blood. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, are we going to keep doing this? Tell me about Monster Blood. Tell me about Monster Blood. Is it real? Isn't it real? Oh, that can't be real. Tell me more. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
You then see Evan retell the story with very brief clips of the events of the last episode before Conan dismisses it. I did appreciate that the recap is super short.
Yeah, I mean, if considering this was like, it was aired like straight after it, right?
Presumably, right?
Yeah, I think so. And so it just makes you wonder like why that recap would be necessary. Seems like there must have been some sort of production thing that went wrong with this whole thing, because it never happens again where you have a sequel straight after it and then they have to put recaps. Yeah, I wonder what that was about.
Yeah, actually, you're right. It may not have aired like the same night, but it aired a week later in the episode run. Yeah. She then tells Evan, Julia tells Evan that her, Curtis, and Conan all went to camp together, but nobody likes Conan because he's lame. Good old goosebump insults. Evan continues to insist that Monster Blood is real, but Conan mocks him and then makes a werewolf noise, which grated on my ears. I'd slap that kid for doing that. But this prompts a flight attendant to come over and basically, look, behave yourself, go sit down, dinner is about to be served. We then cut to the cargo hold where Trigger is barking at Evan's luggage, which we now focus on, but there's no Monster Blood coming out. You couldn't have used the exact same fucking footage from the end of the last episode here?
Exactly. They could have just done that.
Dinner is served and the kids are disgusted with the food, comparing it to school food. For the kids out there to go, yeah, I relate. Curtis calls on an attendant and then lists all the stuff he is allergic to. And yes, I'm mean about Curtis, but I literally wrote here, fucking nerd. Because the list is insane. In the card, sorry, go on.
I'm just saying it must suck to have that many like allergies.
Like I said, shouldn't be allowed at the house.
Yeah. Why is it that's always the stereotype with like nerdy characters? They then have like just a ridiculous list of allergies as well.
Have you ever seen, I know you have, but to people out there, if you've ever seen the original It, there's a character in it in the kids side of thing called Eddie, who is small, petite, glasses, nerdy with allergies. This is the same kid.
Yeah, but in that, isn't it insinuated that his mother has like, is the disorder called like, it's like a disorder where parents make up their kids like disorders to get like attention. I think it might be like Munchausen or something.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I know what you're saying anyway.
It's more the visual than anything else, more the visual. Because this kid, Curtis, is small, demure, petite, with glasses. Yeah, he basically looks like he hasn't had the same growth spurt the others have.
It is that like nerdy stereotype for sure.
Just like, Conan, the bully stereotype, he's got a denim cut-off jacket on. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
In the cargo hold, whatever is in Evan's luggage is trying to break free and causes the plane to shake, something that the pilot feels and decides to check out. I wrote this because this is very funny to me. The pilot's like, yeah, better go check that out. Cut. That's cut, right? We'll come back to it in a moment. We then see Curtis reading a book called 101 Things to Do with Your Modem. And I was like, oh my fucking God, what are they doing to this kid? 101 Things to Do with Your Modem.
Well.
Evan and Julia talk about why Evan is going to Atlanta, and he tells about parents having moved there and he's on his way there now. Julia tells them that she, Curtis, and Connor all go to the same school together, but aren't friends. Evan hopes that he will go to the same school, and she says that she will show him around if he does. And they're all like flirt. It's kid flirting stuff where it's like, oh, I hope I get to see you again.
Yeah.
The only thing I liked is they're having to do this across Curtis, and the camera cuts to Curtis, who generally looks really uncomfortable about what's going on the other side of him. We see an attendant. This is what I laughed. The pilot, after being all like, let's go check it out. And I'm thinking, yeah, the co-pilot's going to get up and go check it out. We then see an attendant, a flight attendant, being instructed to go into the cargo hold by the pilot. I was like, you fucker. Yeah, let's send that guy.
Yeah.
The unlucky sap goes down, finds the lights aren't working, and the place is in a bit of a mess. He notices there's green slime on everything. As he touches some on the floor, some drips in his hand from above. When he looks up, there is a big load of it above him, and it sort of growls before he screams as it begins to come down on him. And I was like, fuck me, that is Alien. That is a horror movie scene.
What is this?
Yeah. I can see why you made the connection. Alien, xenomorphs, monster blood.
Well, isn't there a scene in the original Alien? I don't know if I remember it right. Well, one of them finds the scaled skin, the skin that it's grown out of, and he holds it, and so it drips in his hand, and it's above him. I'm sure that happens.
Yeah, that thing happens also in like the Alien Resurrection movie with that guy, the character that's in that wheelchair type thing, the futuristic one, and he like drips on his like legs, but he can't feel it. He's in the wheelchair. The acid, yeah, and then he like looks up. Yeah, it's kind of like a thing that happens for our aliens. It must be a monster movie thing, I guess. Probably happens in other movies too that we don't remember.
It's a simple thing of blood, and looking up and seeing a corpse above your head and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that might even happen in Silence of the Lambs.
Happens in lots of things, definitely. Yeah.
It does. It is a trope, but it is a trope I enjoy, and I was quite pleased because straight away I was like, "Oh man, that's so different to what you did with Monster Blood in the last episode. You made it seem horror."
That's what's fun about Goosebumps is when they, even though it's more like geared towards kids and younger audiences, is when they do take things from actual horror movies and they kind of put a spin on it to put it into like a kid's format. Yeah, it's fun.
But it was also followed by one of my favorite things. Now, I am a secret huge fan of clever transitions where we go from one character doing one thing to a character either doing something different or something else. I'll give you an example of two of my favorite. In the Lost World Jurassic Park, the sequel, at the very beginning of the movie, there's a transition of a woman screaming that then transitions to Jeff Goldblum being buffeted by a train. And it's so dumb, but I love it. It's a great transition.
It's so dumb.
So dumb. I recently watched a video nasty called The Ghastly Ones, aka Blood Rights. That now holds the record for my favorite transition ever, as we go from a character going, nope, not doing it, nope, to immediately transitioning to a day later going, yep, okay, we'll do it. Laughed my head off, loved it.
Yeah,
this one has one.
That is good, yeah.
This is a transition, is that scream of the flight attendant transitions brilliantly to Curtis screaming and jumping out of his chair because Conan put an ant in him. And I was like, yes, love it.
Yeah.
If you can't tell already, I'm a big fan of this episode. I actually really liked it.
Yeah, I think it is actually improvement on the first part, in my opinion, but, you know, I'll explain great detail why I think that afterwards, but yeah.
Absolutely. This brings another attendant over saying, look, enough is enough of you kids. You're doing my head in, sends them back to their seats. But for some reason, Conan and Evan end up in different seats. And we then see the ant from earlier on up close eating some of the monster blood. Yeah, cool. We see a heavyset man go into the bathroom to clean himself up. He, for some reason, rubs soap into his eyes, blinding himself. So now doesn't notice when he runs water that it's now monster blood as he rubs it all over his face. I mean, how he doesn't notice the difference between water texture and rubbery slime texture, I don't fucking know, but hey. But I was super excited by this point because I'm like, oh my God, we're doing this kind of silly thing where it starts to slowly take over areas of the plane.
Yeah.
We then see a queue has now formed outside the toilet that includes Evan, who momentarily sees monster blood beginning to ooze out from under the door. He's like, that can't be true. And then it's just gone. And it's like, did he imagine it and stuff like that? And I thought this was really dumb. I was like, huh? Why are we doing how he thought he saw it and he didn't? There's no connection.
No, yeah, I agree.
We see a man talking to an attendant about his missing computer when Evan comes up and tells her that they need to land a plane because of monster blood. I was just like, oh, you're an anus kid. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, she's having none of it, takes him back to a seat and threatens him with breaking federal law as he's now causing a panic. And I was like, well, this escalated quickly.
It did.
Can I talk to you for half a sec? You may not be aware of this, but causing a panic on an aircraft is a federal offense. You could get in serious trouble for this. Now stay in your seat. Am I making myself clear?
I don't care. You gotta do something. It's in the bathroom.
What is in the bathroom?
I already told you, the monster blood.
Evan continues to insist, so the attendant goes to the toilet and tries to get the attention of the man inside. After she gets no response, thinking he might be in trouble, she opens it to find no one inside. So like, okay. The next person in the queue is really relieved, goes in to use it, but we do see the man's broken glasses on the floor. So something happened.
Death, maybe.
Yes, he's definitely gone. Evan is sent back to a seat and told not to move for the remainder of the flight. He continues to argue, and the other three look on in surprise. Conan does make me laugh here because he's like, we don't even know this guy. And I did laugh at that.
Yeah.
Evan does rightfully point out, flight attendant, there was a guy in that bathroom who's now just disappeared. And the flight attendant's response is one of the worst, like, oh my God, you are bad at your job. She goes, well, that is pretty peculiar. What?
Yeah, pretty peculiar. I mean, she obviously is aware of what passengers are on the plane, and they have like a manifest or whatever. I mean, it could be proven that he was on the plane, but now he's not. Also, because he was quite a large man, you know, I'm sure she probably would have noticed him as well.
I would think they would have, yeah. But she also says that's no excuse for causing a panic. And I'm like, damn, girl, you are not letting this one go.
Nope.
Evan continues to rationalize how it got on board with the help of Curtis. Wondering where the other attendant has gone, this attendant now goes off to check. But when she pulls the hold hatch, her hand is covered in monster blood. So we are ramping up, suggesting the hold is now full. The monster blood tries to break free, and she's forced to use her weight to hold the hatch down. The noise alerts the queue of bog users who open the curtain to find her completely gone. Only her shoes remain, and for some reason they're smoking. Yeah, parts like this I just don't quite get.
Yeah, smoking shoes. Don't really get that one.
But I am entertained because it's a silliness in a what's more of a monster movie.
That's true. Yeah.
We then cut to the computer guy looking really nervous, sitting there with his briefcase on him like that, and all that. And I was like, is this a reference? Is this a reference to that show with the episode? There's something on the wing and being really
Tales from the Dark Side.
No, it's not that. It's not Tales from the Dark Side. It's the older one. The older one. Fuck. You know the music? Alan Wake.
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, I think it is like the whole gremlin on the wing type thing. Yeah,
it is.
Like no one believes the person. They're just like seen as being crazy. Yeah.
If you're too young or to know what we're talking about, the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode where the gremlin's on the side of the bus freaking Bart out.
Yeah, there's a really good the Twilight Zone, the movie that they made, they do that exact story. But John Lithgow plays the person that sees it, and as you know, he's a great eccentric actor, and his performance in it is really, really good. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, let's just take a sidebar here. Side note to appreciate John Lithgow, who makes every movie he's in 10 times better, whether it be the Santa Claus movie, where he is a shining star in that movie, to even Cliffhanger.
100%. He's great in everything.
Yes,
Love John Lithgow.
Yeah, much appreciation here as well. Anyway, the computer guy he sees monster blood beginning to ooze towards him. He touches it and then gets yanked in. And I'm like, yes, I like this. I like this. Evan gets up and tells the others that if he doesn't come back to go to the pilot and tell him to land the plane. They have a brief discussion about how it sounds. Well, like, how does that sound? The monster blood in particular, they discuss the noise it makes. And I thought this was really weird because that never came up in the original. So this is one of those stylistic changes.
Like you said, it was written by somebody else, so maybe they tweaks a few things here and there.
Yeah. And here's the thing, I don't mind a tweak because think about this. This is a blob style form. As it moves, it would make a sucking noise, a sticky noise. It makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense, yeah.
It April, and we're next. Maybe it's fall.
I don't think it gets. It's not your fault you brought this stuff on board.
Hey, I don't need to.
I don't care. This stuff's gonna get us now, thanks to you.
No, it's not. Shut up.
Yes, it is, and I don't want to shut up. It's his fault.
But what I laughed mostly about this is after discussing the sound, they immediately hear the fucking sound.
Yeah.
We then ramp up because we're running out of time. Across the plane, other passengers are pulled from their seats instantly as the weather worsens outside. The other three now believe Evan, and Conan starts to blame him for bringing it aboard. Curtis tries to calm things down with a plan, but Evan suggests they split up around the cabin to confuse it, as it's now appeared sitting in the middle of it. Admittedly, it's not as big as it implied it was. But it's very blob-like. They start to throw things at it. Curtis notices that it was interested in the cassette player because it senses movement. What? That's a stylistic change that we do not need. It senses movement.
Yep, just making stuff up now.
Yeah. They continue to throw things at it before Conan throws a plate of food at it. And this seems to have an effect on it as it barfs up the food and several items. The shot of the kids being sort of hit with flying items, I did like. But again, I'm like, what are we doing? This is so different. I like it, but you're still asking me to see this as a sequel to the previous one.
Gross.
In a moment or so, I just stopped doing that. I just gave up and went, you know what? I'm going to see this as a separate thing because it doesn't tie in.
That makes it easier to separate them.
It does. Curtis deduces that airline food makes it sick. And I was kind of like, well, that's really specific. They realize they have to get to the food cart behind the monster blood before it recovers. And I like this because I was picturing quite a unique thing of pushing the cart in, it explodes. Brilliant. Awesome, right?
Yeah.
They decide to use the overhead compartment to crawl through it, but the only one who will fit is Curtis. He's not game for it, but is talked into it. As he crawls through, he starts to sneeze and makes a lot of noise. And the others look worried, but it's all for nothing. He makes it to the end anyway. I don't know why. It wasn't that tense anyway. As he climbs down, he starts to get the attention of the monster blood. So Conan plays hero and starts to climb over chairs to get the monster blood's attention. Everyone, including Curtis, watch on as the monster blood sucks up Conan. I was like, what are you doing? Everyone just watches as Conan gets sucked up, including Curtis, who's on the other side now. Use the fucking cart. That's what you went over there for.
It's true.
Even if he had taken a plate of food and thrown it at monster blood, it would have stopped it sucking Conan up. But now, fuck Conan.
Supposed to be like he's just too terrified, I guess. Yeah.
Evan uses this opportunity to get past the monster blood to where Curtis is standing. So for all that climbing through the not fucking John McClane, the compartments, Evan was able to get past anyway. But again, when he gets over to the other side, he just stops and watches until Julia goes, hey, remember the food cart? And he's like, oh yeah.
That whole plan.
Yep. They have trouble moving it as Julia tries to distract the monster blood as though it is a ball. She actually gets a thing and goes, hi, yeah, all that. This episode's got a bit silly.
Seems to happen similarly with the previous episode where it starts off strong and then just goes silly as it goes further into the episode. Yeah,
I'll get to the reason why I think it does at the end. As it approaches her, the monster blood, the others get the cart moving and shove it into it. which then has a pretty hardcore barfing session, then seemingly dies. That's it. Doesn't even blow up.
Gross.
That's what you get. That's what you get from Monster Blood.
Yeah. We then hear the captain saying they're making their descent soon. All the people the Monster Blood had eaten are back and okay, seemingly. No one is even that perturbed about what happened, as Trigger gets all the attention instead because cute dog. The plane lands. We then see a man wearing a hazmat suit with a Monster Blood in a container. The attendant tells the captain that it's Monster Blood before Conan takes Curtis to meet his family. He says that being inside Monster Blood was like being stuck in a giant nose because kids. And Curtis then follows it up with the fakest laugh I've ever heard in my life. Ever.
Damn.
Finally, Evan gets Julia's number as she says it was a highlight of her summer. Camp must have been really shit then. He goes to get his jacket, pulls the curtain away to reveal the giant ant on the wall in what was also one of the worst effects I've seen in all of Goosebumps.
That's saying something.
It is saying something. It is bad. Also, it makes no fucking sense because in the previous episode when Monster Blood was destroyed or contained, Trigger shrunk down. Why didn't the ant?
That is a great point. We'll never know the answer to. Didn't the Monster Blood eat like a fly in the first episode or something?
It did, yeah, you're right.
It did. Don't remember seeing any giant flies.
So I said I think I know why these episodes go so wrong. I think it's simply this. These are really hard. How do you end an episode about a gelatinous fucking substance that continues to grow and grow and grow, but also doesn't really have any rules around it? It's simply that when you've got to write this in a 21-minute episode. It's fucking impossible. I couldn't come up with an ending.
I think it's almost even though like I like this episode better than the previous one simply because of the setting. I think the setting of it being on a plane in that confined space, that's like a great location for any horror movie because not only are you confined in like a metal box that's like there's only a very few places you can hide, but you're also tens of thousands of feet in the air. So there's so many things that are like horrifying about that scenario. And that's great rather than it being like, oh, it's just in the suburbs, you know. But then, like you said, there's only so much they can do in that situation. They can't have the blob explode because they're on a plane. That will take them the plane, and like there's only then it also has limitations of there's only so many things you can do in that scenario, you know. So it's a bit of a mess. Yeah,
it is. It limits you, but I think up until, like I said, the final third, so to speak, they use it really well. They create tension. They create the imagery in my head of this being a very, very overtaking the plane bit by bit from that, and they do it well using a wide array of characters. There's a lot of hints, like I say, the classic horror to like the Twilight Zone to more modern stuff involving alien and things like that I really, really enjoyed. That's why it's better than the original for me. Also, the cast of characters in this, I learned more about them in a short amount of time than we do most Goosebumps episodes. It's basic shit still, but by the end I knew them.
Like I said, like we said, they are cliches and they have all these stereotypes, but at least they have characters in a way. It kind of defines them as who they are. Yep. And you know, it's silly him reading the like Modem Weekly or whatever he's reading in the magazine, but like that's like who his character is. Whereas most of the time they're just generic kids that don't really have like any character. They're just regular normal kids without any real personality.
Going back to that 101 things for the modem, I generally think that was an airplane joke. That joke is so fucking good, so stupid, so funny. You could picture someone on an airplane reading that book and you're laughing at it there. So why would I not laugh at it here? Yeah,
I mean, that's probably like a little detail the director threw in there to see like people notice it. And yeah, it's a funny one. Yeah, I think like because it again walks into that trap of like you said where there's only so many directions they can go with it. Like, how do you really resolve this problem? You have this monster blood that's seeping throughout this plane. It's like killing people, and like, what do you do to wrap it up? You know, like it's almost like they did the only thing they could think of, which is like, okay, I don't know, it doesn't like airline food, and that like kills it. And yeah, like what else could they have done with it? I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, I can't off the top of my head, I can't think of like what direction it could have gone. It could have gone in otherwise, because it had to be wrapped up really quick as well. But so in the end, it just like I think it's a better episode than the first one, but both of them are just like, they're like amusing kind of throwaway episodes in a lot of ways. I don't know why it's seemingly quite memorable. Like the whole Monster Blood thing is quite memorable, and I think a lot of people would remember it. But the episodes themselves don't really like earn that, you know.
Agreed. Everything you say, I second. You've literally summed it up beautifully there. So I would say no more on it. That is more Monster Blood. You got any thoughts? You know what to do. Drop them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?